Eileen? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's been
I'd
a long
like
day.
to move Article 2 as written.
Finley, that's a second?
That is a second.
Thank you.
And what I'd like to do is we're going to have a presentation, a very short presentation of the budget by Paul McCauley and myself. Hopefully you've picked up the handouts as you came in. It is a copy of the PowerPoint presentation. Otherwise, some of the small print you would not be able to see on the overhead. So that's what we wanted to make sure for clarity that the audience had copies of the PowerPoint. So, Paul? What about the screen?
So, as Moderator Christensen said, the town budget is proposed $34,511,890. That budget is broken up into several different components. We break it up into operating funds, capital reserve fund, deposits, which are our savings accounts, other capital expenditures, road resurfacing expenditures, that's the road paving account, capital reserve fund expenditures. Those are the capital reserve funds that we saved up for the expenditures that are coming out, and then self-supporting funds. Example of self-supporting funds are sewer fund, media fund, police outside detail. With the budget, there's been some staffing and benefit to make up the majority of the increases in the operating budget. Contractual raises, we have 6 union contracts. They're all within contract. 5 of them end on June 30th, 2019. 1 ends on June 30th, 2020. 9 union pay increases. Both the contractual raises for the unions and non-union pay increases is a 3% pay raise. There's been health insurance, went up 8.6%. Been increases in short-term disability and workers' comp. The council's proposing 3 new full-time positions in this budget. 1 custodian in the Building and Grounds Division, and 2 new positions in the police department, 1 sergeant, 1 patrolman for the new special investigation unit. Additionally, in the police department, they're proposing to eliminate the position of administrative lieutenant and create the deputy chief position again. There's been 1 staffing adjustment from part-time to full-time in the town clerk tax collector's office. The account clerks that sit at the windows and actually help the residents register their vehicles and take tax payments. Additionally, there's other increases and decreases in the operating budget. General insurance went up, debt service went up. The tipping fees were in I believe the 7th year of a 10-year contract, and that's a $1 per ton increase. Recycling tipping fees increased from $25 a ton to $54 a ton. That was a large increase this year. And next year there is 2 extra elections. As well, there's some major decreases in building and grounds and office equipment maintenance. Capital expenditures, paving infrastructure, there's an additional money that the town council is proposing to put into the paving infrastructure. Town hall HVAC project to replace those PTACs on the first floor of Town Hall and go with a more centralized system. And then voting booths, projecting to buy approximately 70 voting booths next year, and that's to replace some old voting booths and to get us up to state standards. And then there's a decrease in capital reserve funding of those savings accounts, those deposits. Here's a summary of the capital reserve funds. As you can see, these are basically all the capital reserve funds that we do have in the town. And we put money aside for things. Ambulance, we're projecting to put $80,000 into the account for future purchase of an ambulance. And it goes down, I'll explain in further detail some of the expenditures that we plan on doing out of these reserve funds. In the computer equipment, they're looking at a telephone system upgrade for Town Hall. Big expense is the portable radio replacement in the fire capital reserve fund for the fire department. With these capital reserves, these large expenditures of similar to this portable radio of $298,000, we also look at grants that will help offset some of these expenses, and they'll come in as revenue if we do get the grant. Drainage improvements, we replace our fleet, our six-wheel dump trucks. We're looking at replacing 2 of them. Over the last 3 weeks, they've been getting quite a bit of use. Hopefully they can rest for a while. And solid waste, we're looking at replacing one of the dump trailers that bring the trash up to our area where we dump our trash in Pennacook. And one of our trucks, our cabs and chassis, was a Peterbilt that when the transfer station opened, we bought it used. It's getting up there. It's a little long in the tooth, so we're looking at replacing that. Additionally, that's total general fund. We're looking to spend about $1.4 million, $1.5 million from them. And then in the sewer wastewater fund, there's some sewer infrastructure that we're looking to do. Replace, they have 3 main front-end loaders. We're looking to replace 1 this year and in a 3-year cycle, for a total of $1,752,000 coming out of capital reserve funds. And once again, these are our savings accounts, so we've been putting money aside over a number of years for these purchases. This next screen talks about the deposits into the capital reserve fund. Like I said, ambulance, we're looking at putting $80,000 in. Communications equipment, $125,000. Computer equipment, $35,000. Daniel Webster Highway, we're looking to put $50,000 into that one. That is just for the paving of Daniel Webster Highway from the Common Man all the way through up to Walgreens. Fire equipment, $250,000. Highway equipment, $400,000. Library building maintenance fund, $75,000. The library building maintenance fund takes care of all the needs of the library, such as sprinklers, HVAC, roofs. Property revaluation, solid waste disposal, $125,000. Traffic signal preemption, $5,000. Those are those little red beacons on top of the traffic lights. We have to put money aside to fix some of the communication devices. GIS, $20,000, and road infrastructure, $450,000. That road infrastructure account is used for bridges and drainage when we do and road reconstruction, for a total of $1,630,000. Milfoil is a $10,000 deposit for a total general fund of $1,640,000. And as you can see, that's $57,000 less than last year, and $300,000 into the sewer infrastructure capital reserve for a total capital reserve deposit of $1,940,000. Sewer is, the sewer fund is from user fees, and that's one of those self-supporting funds. I just want to remind everybody that Tuesday, April 10th, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is the annual voting day at the 3 polling locations set forth. Any questions, please see the Town Clerk Tax Collector's website if you're wondering where you should vote. Thank you.
Hello. Am I on? Oh, there I am. Obviously, that's a lot of information that was presented to you very quickly, and that's why we wanted you to have a copy so that you can look. And I know you've all been following our budget meetings, so while this is second nature, I'm sure, but I wanted to make sure you had that information if you had some questions this evening.
Any questions on Article 2? Seeing none, it's going to move forward to the ballot as printed. We'll go to Article number 3. Shall the town vote to adopt an all-veterans tax credit in accordance with RSA 72:28-B in the amount of $500? If adopted, the credit will be available to any resident or spouse or surviving spouse of any resident who, 1, served not less than 90 days on active service in the Armed Forces of the United States and was honorably discharged, or was an officer honorably separated from service, and 2, is not eligible for and not receiving a credit for veterans who served in a qualifying war or armed conflict, or for veterans with a service-connected disability. If adopted, the credit will be in the amount of $500, which is the same amount as the credit for a veteran who served in a qualifying war or armed conflict. If this all-veterans tax credit is adopted, any person desiring to receive the credit shall file an application with the assessors by April 15th of the applicable tax year. If adopted, this amendment shall become effective as of April 1, 2018. Tom? Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you, Bill. Tom, you want to speak to it?
Yes, just briefly, thank you. This article, the only other one on our ballot this year, is kind of interesting in its nature. We currently give a tax credit to veterans who served in an armed conflict, but through an expansion in the legislation, the folks up in Concord modified or extended it to an all-veterans tax credit, which allows us to give this credit to all veterans who've served at least 90 days and been honorably discharged. And so the town council is offering that. It's enabling legislation. It gives us the opportunity to do it if we so choose. The town council has decided to put this on the ballot to ask the townspeople if you want to, in fact, support our veterans in this fashion. What it does is it gives them $500 credit towards their taxes. Okay, it's not $500 cash in their pocket or anything of that nature, but it is a credit to them. And it extends to all people who've served in the military, not just to those who served in armed conflict. And so the choice is going to be the voter's choice as to whether we expand it in that fashion or not. That's why we brought this here. I would want to make one quick note. If, in fact, it does pass and you are a veteran who qualifies for it, since the election is on the 10th and you have to apply by the 15th, you don't have very much time to get into the town clerk's office to apply for the credit for this coming year, but you would be eligible to get it for this coming year should it pass.
The only thing I want to add to that is the legislation is going to be a very quick turnaround. So anyone who's a veteran should probably acquire the paperwork or be ready. It's 5 days. You have to apply for it. 5 days, within 5 days after voting on the 10th. So we just want to be able to highlight for those veterans who would be applicable for, you need to do a really quick turnaround and do the paperwork within 5 days. Okay?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you probably can apply for it at any point. And if you're not eligible for it, you don't get it?
I don't know, Eileen or Matt?
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the answer is to that, but I think if people would just come in and get their paperwork and fill it out and bring it in, I'm sure we can we can hold on to it until that period of time. So we don't want anybody to miss it if that's the
All right, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Paul is waving at me.
So Eileen is right. You can come and get the paperwork at any time.
Of course I'm right.
Have it filled out. However, our assessing department cannot hold the paperwork, so it has to wait until after the 10th to file. So you can get the paperwork in advance, fill it out. If this passes on April 10th, you can come into the assessing office with the paper already filled out.
Or give it to me and I'll
Because
bring it
you
in.
need some additional information like your DD 214, which is your discharge paperwork, to be attached, and that's why we don't hold it, is because there's personal information on your DD 214.
All right, any further discussion? Bob, you're going to have to do this, huh?
Bring it on.
You're going to lose the pool.
It's okay. Bob LaRue, Back River Road, Merrimack. For the full disclosure, I qualify. I have two questions. Once a person applies for this, do they have to reapply every year?
I believe they do, yes.
Okay, thank you. I have a question where it says, served in the Armed Forces of the United States and was honorably discharged. What happens if a person has a general discharge? Because the legislation that we work with in Concord says less, I forget the exact terminology, anything but a dishonorable discharge would qualify. By the way, I don't have a general discharge.
So general discharges are either given general or they're given general under honorable conditions. It says has to be honorably discharged. That's what the law says. So I would assume that a general discharge under honorable conditions would probably apply.
Okay, thank you. I just want that clarified.
Anything else? Seeing nothing, we're going to move this article to the warrant as printed, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. We will see you on April 10th, one of 3 polling places. Done.